So started looking at a few things and decided that, very quickly, a child can run through quite a bit of money. So we decided that I would come out of retirement. And the one thing I knew was I don't play well with others when they tell me what to do. So I couldn't go to work. I had to create my own work. So I have a really great friend in the industry. Her name's Kathy King. And I had been watching her and her crypto journey. 5 years before this, if we can digress just a second, she had called me and my mom was really sick and I was helping take care of her. And she said, Chris, I need you to buy a Bitcoin. I said, a what? She said, a Bitcoin. I said, I don't know what a Bitcoin is and I don't have time to think about it. Let me just tell you, if I'd have bought that $23 Bitcoin, it would be over now. Okay. So I didn't. Long story short, I caught up. I am doing quite nicely now because of relationships and networking. So I currently have 4 different platforms that I run. I have 7 ICOs, thanks to Randall. And I have 2 mining contracts, and I'm very excited about all of that. The good news is that they all pay differently. They all pay very well. And if you can get into a niche of people that really care about you and they care about your actual prosperity, then lock arms with those people, stay with them. They will have your back no matter what, and you'll do very well. Thanks, everybody.
Devin, you want to go ahead and introduce CoinKong?
Yo, give me like 5 minutes real quick.
Okay.
He's got his face on. So
You're retarded.
CoinKong's so pretty. If we want to give him a couple minutes, and then I think one of the, probably the topic du jour is just what's going on in the market today in particular. It's a sea of red. And I'll just speak about my personal experience. When I first got into crypto, I would watch the market like all day, every day, every 10 minutes I'm checking my phone and it's like, it's up, yay, it's down. And it was a bit of an emotional roller coaster because I didn't really know the history of what's happened with the price of Bitcoin historically. At this point, like, I really don't get freaked out when I see big corrections in the market. I do get excited when I see a big surge. I'm not 100% sure exactly what causes, these corrections in the market. Randall, if you have a better, a better idea of kind of maybe why it happens or how often it happens, and kind of, if you would speak about that, that would be helpful for me in particular.
Yeah, so CoinKong has a lot of knowledge on this, more than me. But what I know to be happening at this moment is that there's a couple of factors. South Korea, the South Korean government just announced that they may be banning cryptocurrency in their country, and so there's a lot of people holding digital assets. There's a lot of people holding digital assets in South Korea that are liquidating their accounts. Simultaneously to that happening, we're at the end of the year in the United States, which holds a lot of the volume in the market globally. And as you guys know, the IRS wants all of our documentation to be filed by April. And so a lot of day traders, a lot of people who trade for a living, close their accounts out, liquidate all their assets in order to get all of their books balanced before they go back live in late April or May. And so typically in the cryptocurrency community, around December, you'll see a decline in the market because of the volatility of market, usually 20%, sometimes more. And then around late April to May, it'll come back to homeostasis. So what we're seeing now is typical for this time of the year. It's a little bit severe because of the negative media attention that we're getting due to South Korea's decisions. So, yeah. So, is that okay?
Kong, what are you driving, bro?
Devin, you want to introduce?
I drive a freaking Prius, bro. All right. Are we doing introductions now? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, great. What's up, guys? My name is Dustin, aka Coin Kong. I live in Los Angeles. I'm a financial advisor. I'm actually out in the field, and that's why I'm driving my Prius, because I had to drive 2 hours from work from my house today. Thank you. Stop making fun of me, Chris. The mastermind mob, I was one of the original 10 that were in the mastermind, kind of getting this whole thing started. I was approached by Michael Neese. Most of you know him just through the technicalities of the websites and stuff like that, and Facebook and the bots. And, me and Mike go to church together, and he knew I've been in network marketing for many, 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 many years. And he was like, "Hey, did you look into Bitcoin?" I'm like, "What the fuck is Bitcoin? Tell me," right? So that was back in August, and September. I started in Titan, dropped like $600 or something like that, just to try to see what happens, right? So fast forward a month later, USI came around. That $600, I think, I made maybe like 400 in interest off it, because I had already started building a team because I was in network marketing, right? Well, from $600, and we're walking into, halfway through January. Through those months, I've accrued about 65,000 or something like that over those months, mainly from building a team and doing day and trading. Jamar and myself, we're actually really tight. We go out to lunch often, so we're actually going to Orlando. I don't know if anyone's in Orlando, but we're going to Orlando at the end of this month to actually put on a whole business Bitcoin conference. So whatever. But, I am not on Devin's team, nor Chris's, nor Randall's. I am just somebody that likes to surround myself with other amazing people, right? Other people that are just willing to help other people. And that's what brought me here. And that's why I jump in on your calls, because Chris, Devin, and Randall are some of the most solid people I've met in a very long time in and outside of network marketing, and especially in companies and team building. And I think they're on to something that is going to be huge. And, just like the rest of you, I want to be part of it. And, if you guys ever have any questions, I'm full in crypto now and trading and ICOs. I think I actually have 14 ICO platforms I'm into right now. Just like Chris said, they all pay different. They all do different things. But if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. Even if it's as far as like taxation on cryptocurrency and stuff like that, I'm pretty solid into that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin.
Dustin is also a professional chef who was featured on America's Top Chef season 5. If you're interested.
No,
was
it was Cutthroat. It was Cutthroat Kitchen.
Cutthroat Kitchen. Sorry, guys.
Before I was a financial advisor, I was a chef for 20 years.
Yeah.
So Randall, one of the things that was so appealing about this was when I talked to the guy who introduced us, and he told me about Electroneum. I hadn't even heard of Electroneum. Honestly, I didn't know there were more than the coins that were on Coinbase. And when he told me what had just recently happened with the ICO, I think I was hooked. And that's when I started probably texting you 7-8 times a day. And so if you can explain what an ICO is, I had no idea until you did. And, a few of us have participated in one. And just tell us what the potential is for growth with one of those.
So an ICO in this community, first of all, the first point I'd like to make is that in this community, there's a lot of scams. There's a lot of scams. If you Google, there's even scams where people are creating fake websites that look like the website you want to go to, so that, and then they'll put themselves at the top of Google ads. So it's very imperative that you be careful in this community at the moment. So saying that, what he was referring to is an ICO, which is an initial coin offering. And typically how you find them is you search for them on Google, which is why I brought that up. But there's several websites you can go to. I'll post some of them in the chat before we leave here that rate ICOs according to how profitable they may be. I use my own personal strategy, and it takes me a while to vet a coin. But in this particular case, we had decided that Electroneum would be a good buy because of their business strategy. An ICO is what you would call an initial coin offering. And the reason they call them coins is because in order to be legal, according to the FTC, in order to be legal according to the FTC, you can't call them stocks. So basically, what coins are outside of Bitcoin and Litecoin, pretty much, is that a coin is a stock, but they don't call it a stock because of the regulations on stocks. So when initial coin offering comes out, basically investors are saying, this is the idea we have, and if you're interested in investing in this idea, buy our coins. So you use cryptocurrency to invest in an ICO, and typically you can get it at anywhere from 10 to 50% off the price that it will be when it hits the exchange. So there's an automatic 10 to 50% margin. If it's a really good ICO, it can jump up 1,000% in the first day. That's not atypical. So so just to give you a pseudo example, if an investor put $1,000 into an ICO and got 30% for getting in early, their coins would theoretically be worth $1,300 from day one. And then on day one, when it goes live on exchanges, there's a lot of people who trade on exchanges that don't know how to get into ICOs. So all this liquid money comes into the market. With in the case of Electroneum, it was $250 million, but they had only raised $20 million in their initial coin offering. So even if every single person who bought coins in the initial coin offering sold in the first hour, it would only affect the market cap by about 20%. So there was no way to lose. Well, in the case of Electroneum, the price went up to 10 cents. We paid less than a penny a share. And Brian and I, who is on the call, made about 1,400% profit on a $20,000 investment, which gave us $250,000. And we waited about 3 months for that ICO to go live. And this strategy and this scenario is not atypical, as Matt might tell you, because he's been around, and Devin and Chris. They've been around long enough to see 3 or 4 ICOs using this strategy go by. The lowest we made on a ICO was with Naga. We only made 240%. That was a very sad day. Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. If you guys have any questions about that, you can post the comments in the same threads that invited you to this call, and I'll get back to them one at a time, slowly but surely. Or you can just send me a personal message. I'm used to it. Everybody else does it.
There's lots of different strategies on how, like, everybody does something a little differently. It just kind of depends on how comfortable you are with risk, with like the ICOs and all these different things that we do. Like me personally, I need a little bit of uncertainty for it to be exciting, but I also need, I'm a structured individual. I like my little boxes. So they're, one of the things that I like to do when I have an ICO, or if I have an altcoin that goes up, for example, I will sell. Like with Electroneum, for example, I had 90,000 shares. When the price got to a certain point, I sold half of what I was holding and essentially took out 4 times what I had invested. And I held on to some of that Electroneum, just to kind of see what was going to happen with the price. And I reinvested that profit in a couple different ways. I took some and put it in a new ICO, which was a larger, I put about $1,000 into Electroneum. Sold off half. I had $4,000. I put $2,000 in the next ICO and $2,000 in a mining contract, because the mining contract is a little more predictable. It'll fluctuate based on whatever blockchain is doing, how quickly the Bitcoin is being mined. But it makes me feel a little a little safer than like with an ICO. You don't really know how much you're going to make. You don't know when it's going to launch. It may launch and, you know, not do much. So if you're counting on it, you know, if you're counting on that profit at a certain time for a certain purpose, then it might feel a little bit more like gambling, which makes me uncomfortable. So that's just how I go about, you know, ICOs and keeping myself nicely diversified in like 5 different things. You know, I've got some Bitcoin and Ethereum that I'm just holding. I've got some in altcoins. I've got some in trading and mining, and then a pot of money that I use for ICOs. I feel like if all my eggs aren't in one basket, then, you know, I sleep pretty good at night. And I'll pass the ball to whoever wants it.
So a week from tomorrow, which is January 24th at 6 a.m., there's an ICO that I think a couple of us have invested in. It's called Co-Vesting, which is a really interesting platform too that I know Randall definitely is interested in explaining to me later because I don't understand the platform. But we went in for about $4,200 on this ICO. Because Randall picked it, and everything he's picked for me thus far has been gold. Okay, so and so on Wednesday, I will go ahead and post my results either on Facebook or in a group as to exactly what happened. I believe I have 3,000 tokens at about $1.40 a piece, and my plan is to get up at the crack of dawn and cash out and hopefully make 200, 300, 400%. So if anybody wants to see how that works sooner rather than later, I'd be glad to share that, simply because a lot of times you invest in an ICO and you have to wait 30, 60, sometimes 90 days before it goes live. And so anybody that's new like me, I want them to be able to see exactly how that works and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak.
Hey, Randall, what do you think about just seeing if anybody who's here with us, like if they have any questions? If you don't want to talk, you could type it in the chat or unmute yourself, maybe.
Does anyone have any questions at this time?
Well, why am I unmuting myself?
Okay. So I'm going to go into my own personal strategy.
Okay.
Which everyone keeps talking good about it, so I might as well share it with everybody. So my own personal strategy right now at this very moment in time is, since I mentioned I got my start in mining and then I transferred all of my money into cloud mining. The company that I used still is hashflare.io, and Hashflare, I'll post the link in the chat. Hashflare is a good company, and they pay out Bitcoin daily. So I take that Bitcoin, I put it into ICOs as they pop up. So that's passive residual income. And so the mining pays out Bitcoin every single day, several, quite a bit. So then I put that in ICOs, and then every 3 months the ICOs go live. And when they do, I typically make 500 to 600% on my money every 3 months, and I re-diversify that money back into cloud mining and other platforms in the cryptocurrency community. So we don't have enough time on this call to go through all the platforms because there's quite a few of them, and as we progress, there'll be more and more legit platforms, which there are now. But that's the strategy. It's a simple strategy. And the reason it's simple is because there's an epidemic happening right now in the technological world, and it's called blockchain. Most of the community looks at Bitcoin as if it's a pseudo form of money, and usually the dialogue surrounding Bitcoin is centered on that, the Federal Reserve Bank or in Bitcoin and all of that. but most people don't see past the tip of the iceberg, which is the fact that there's over 200 cryptocurrencies now. There are cryptocurrencies that Microsoft is supporting. There's cryptocurrencies that MasterCard and Discover Card are supporting and integrating into their financial systems. Knowing this information gives us a lead on people as far as investments are concerned, because these companies are not being traded on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. So just by having a general knowledge in cryptocurrency and knowing these things, you have the ability to invest in these ventures that the common investor has no access to, just because of knowledge, just because of access to this community. And I'm a firm believer that blockchain will revolutionize the world. It's going to facilitate the Internet of Things, which so far has not been able to manifest because of security issues. So it's a way for everything to communicate, every device, every piece of technology to communicate securely based on a cryptographic algorithm. Yeah. Back to you, Matt.
I can actually talk on.
Go ahead.
I can actually talk on a little bit on my strategy too. So when I said I started this with $600, guys, and I did build a team, made a little bit of residually off that. I have not bought any more Bitcoin outside of that initial $600. So I'll talk a little bit about my strategy and how I accomplished about just under 70 in a few months. Is that when he's talking about these ICOs that come out, you buy in the ICO, but when you're getting $200, $300, $400 profits, what you do, what you're trying to do is absorb as many coins as possible. Obviously, if you think that the coin's going to tank, drop it all. But for Electroneum and Naga, what you do is whenever you're getting those $200, $300 profits, you take the profits down to what your initial investment is. Now you're at a zero loss only profit. Then you take anything extra and put it in another ICO, hoping that the coin initially that's already went up keeps going up. And that's happened with Electroneum. That's happened with Naga. It's still, you know what I mean? I mean, everything's in the red now, but you take profits on it, but keep your initial investment, because the larger you're diversified across the board, the more money you're going to get. And in all these ICOs, I never sold all my coins. I went to my initial investment and I'm still up. And up way above on most of them what my initial investment was. So just remember to diversify, just like kind of Devin was saying. Take half profits on some of your stuff and then go into your next ICO strong with whatever your profits were. But that's how I've kind of did that over the last 6 months in building and trading.
So I didn't know anything about mining whatsoever, and I asked Randall, and he actually shared with me his Hashflare account. And keep in mind, he's been in this for a few years, whereas the majority of the people on here, maybe as long, but the majority have just been in for weeks or months. And because I didn't understand what mining meant, and literally when that term was presented to me, I was picturing a hat with a flashlight and a pick. Okay, so I didn't understand it. Maybe you can explain that a little bit and how you build residual income that way.
Unmute. Okay. So basically what mining is printing money out of thin air. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure everybody here wants to learn how to do that. In the beginning that sounded really funny, but then when Bitcoin took off, everyone was like, what? We could really do that? So I use, like I mentioned before, I use a website called Hashflare.io, and I'll post the link here. And full disclosure, I don't get anything or much out of these calls. So this is a referral link. So if you click on it, I do get a commission on whatever you invest, which is small. If you don't want to use my link, just go to hashflare.io and don't help me. That's cool too. So what I do is, and I can actually go ahead and share my screen and kind of walk you through the dashboard. And as Matt mentioned, my income is a little bit high because of how long I've been in the game. But I think it's great to share these things in order to show proof of concept and in order to show that they do work. So I'm going to go ahead and share that right now. So this is the Hashflare back office. I make roughly 1/10 of a Bitcoin a day, which right now I think Bitcoin's at 1,100 or 1,200. It's headed back up, so that's $1,200 a day on this platform, which 7 days a week, which results in about $459,000 annually. So this is a great platform. It's been around for three and a half years, and they've never missed a payment. The longest I had to wait for a payment was 8 days, and that's when the Bitcoin system was running really slowly. So yeah, this is Hashflare. It's really simple. If you do get in here, I'll just run you through a couple of things. If you go to buy, so these are different types of processing. So the SHA-256 is actually Bitcoin, because what they're referring to is the algorithm that's used to mine. So when you are selecting these, you're selecting what type of cryptocurrency you want to mine. I mine Bitcoin because it has the highest profitability at the moment. And so yeah, I'm not sure. It's really simple. So I know it looks like a lot, but it's really not that complicated. It is if you're a beginner. It's easy for me to say that. Brian, you don't see my screen?
No, I just see myself and everybody else. That's all right though. I believe you. I don't see anybody else's faces either, so maybe it's my thing.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions about this, or is there anything that they would like me to not really walk them through, but just explain that may seem confusing at the moment? All right. So yeah, this is Hashflare. If you have any friends, if you share this with friends, you can get your referral link under referrals and then tools, and then there's a link right here. I haven't shared it very much, so I've only made like 2/10 of a Bitcoin on it. So this isn't something I do to make extra money, but if you could make a lot of money if you decided to do that. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
How do you feel about so I don't know, a couple weeks ago we got in on these little smaller coins, and at first they that night they went up great, and then the next day they just completely shit the bed, or they messed up, went way down, right? Pardon my French. They went way down.
Yeah.
And
they shit and fell over.
Yeah, and they'd go up a little bit and they go back down, and it was an emotional roller coaster. But I knew that going in, it was money that I knew okay, if I lost it, that could happen. But I like to think that's not going to happen to me, so it'll all go good. Do you have what's your opinion on those? Should I mess with those at all, or should I just leave that alone, or is there a place I can go to learn more about that?
So typically, well, yeah. First of all, usually when a coin is experiencing volatility, or a stock is experiencing volatility, that is out of the norm. That volatility is based on something. It's like the exception. It's not the rule that it's market manipulation. While that does happen a lot in the cryptocurrency community, typically, there would be some news release, or there'd be some information associated with that. But
Okay.
The good news is, if you look back, when I analyze a stock, I always look at the history, and I compare that to the current value of it. And if you go back and you see that the value has gone above and below that value that you're worried about several times, 10, 20, 30 times, you know within a certain degree of error that it's going to return to that level and surpass it again.
Okay.
And now, in the cryptocurrency community, on these exchanges, I getting feedback. I'm gonna have to mute everybody. My son's coming downstairs. In the cryptocurrency community, around this time of year, things drop off because because of the volatility, we're attracting day traders, and day traders are great at making money on volatility. It's their bread and butter.
Love it.
So yeah, so since only 1% roughly of the money that's in the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ is in cryptocurrency, there's a lot of volatility. When decisions are made, stuff tanks and then it comes back. It slingshots, whereas in the New York Stock Exchange, where there's 99 times as much volume in a given day, the fluctuations are not as drastic and rapid as they are in the cryptocurrency community. So that being said, there are trends that are happening annually, and I mention that because at this time of year, like I said, these day traders, what they typically like to do is liquidate most of their assets and then do their taxes, and then pay the mafias and henchmen in DC their portion, so that they can feed their family with the rest of it. Whereas, with a traditional stock trader, they do long holds, 1 year, 2 years, sometimes even more than that. So they're not really worried about, the volatility, the seasonal volatility. So that's we're in that zone right now. And I think CoinKong could attest to that.
Well, the major part about why the market in crypto is going down right now is just because it is going mainstream. All the big investors, all the big banks are starting to get in. Is they all close out their books for the year, the first quarter. So anywhere between the 9th of January, typically to the 21st to 24th, depending on when the weekend hits, you're going to see pretty much everything be down, and it's going to stay down the majority of the day, depending on what time of the day it is, because of the traders. But you're going to see it go back up. I'm going to say between the 22nd to 26th of this month, you're going to start seeing everything go back up. Like if Bitcoin hits 16 to 17, you're probably going to see it hit 20 within the next month.
Hey, Randall.
Yeah.
I want to touch base a little bit on what CoinKong said too about, he started with a $600 investment. I think that's a fantastic story. I absolutely love that story. And I did something a little bit similar, a little bit more money, but the same concept. And I think it's important that everybody understand that, when we're building these things, we're building these things for long term and for longevity. We get into the ICOs most often for quick and dirty money, and it pays off. If you've got the stomach for it, it pays off, which is good. But I started with one program in May. Okay. And I took the money from that one program, the commissions, and I turned it into another program and another program and another program. What I'm trying to say is I never took any more money out of my pocket. So I paid myself back my ROI on my first deal. I went into a second one, got my ROI back on that one. Went into a third one, got my ROI back on that one. Went into a fourth one, got my ROI back on that one. And then I started saying, hey, Randall, what's up with this mining? And you talked to me, 3 months before I ever pulled the trigger on the mining, I think, because I was scared. I like Matt, envisioned this guy in a tunnel, right, with this big light on their head and a pickaxe. And, I thought it was something really, I don't know. I thought it was just time consuming. Mining sounds time consuming to me. I love mining, and now it's like one of my best little deals. It's like, okay, I like you. You're over there. I don't have to do anything with you. You perform every day, and I like it. But the ICOs are awesome. The point here is that I took the money out of the first business adventure, paid myself back, and everything that I have now is all gravy. So it hurts less. The moral of the story is it hurts less when you see January roll around and Bitcoin was $19,000 and all of a sudden it's $11,000 or $10,000. So, you know, you can stomach it a lot better when you know you've already gotten your ROI back. So that's my suggestion to everybody. Always get your ROI back and play with the house's money. It feels a whole lot better.
This is crypto the last 3 Januaries. I'm trying to fit that into where you can see it. And as you notice, it follows the same trend and then recovers. Of course, this is my first January in cryptocurrency. And so I had the same feelings anybody. But, you know, about a month ago, the same thing happened. I went to bed at 17,000 with Bitcoin, and I woke up and it was somewhere around 11,000. And the first inclination is, this thing is over. I need to sell, cut my losses, and my finger's on the sell button, right? And what it should have been is on the buy button. And fortunately, I didn't sell, but I think it was within the matter of 36 hours, it was back to 14 or 15,000. So, I mean, we've kind of decided how much we're willing to put into this thing, and we've kind of gotten to that point, and now that we're seeing profit. But definitely, the emotions have a big part to play when it comes to buying and selling. And what I love about mining is I don't have to do anything. I just have to go to bed and wake up, and there is some sort of deposit of Bitcoin in my account.
I'm going to give you guys a tip on a little trading for anyone that's starting to get into trading and have Bitcoin on the exchanges. I'm going to give you a little tip for any time you think that your Bitcoin's going to go down. Okay, so there's a coin called Tether, right? It's tied to the U.S. dollar. It's the most stable coin out there right now, and I think it's the only one today that's in the green. So when you think that Bitcoin's going to drop, trade it into the Tether on the exchanges because it's going to be the most stable coin. That way, when you buy back in, you can buy back in the Bitcoin low and take, you know, thousands of dollars of profits at that time, depending on what's on your exchange. So as you're watching a market and you get a little bit better, start understanding that when the market's going to drop, you can take your Bitcoin, put it in the Tether because it's stable. And then when you see Bitcoin about to go back up, buy back in because then you can take all the profits on top of it.
Way to go, CoinKong. Way to go.
Excellent point. All right. Does anyone have any questions before we close out our call? We're going to be trying to do this call. I think we're all dedicated to do this call every Tuesday. Okay, Devin.
You guys want to do it next Wednesday after the co-vesting ICO? Just so
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
If I'm on the call, it went well. If I'm not, you'll know what happened. Okay.
If I have a feeling that if some of you guys are just simply wondering how do I get my hands on some cryptocurrency to get started, there are websites such as Coinbase. I use Coinbase. A lot of people don't like it. I think CoinKong probably has a list of sites that he uses to buy Bitcoin. CoinKong?
And I think, well, we can.
Yeah, give me like 30 seconds. I'll post it up.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
I use
driving.
Coinbase.
Yeah, if any questions that pop up for people, just message one of us or whoever's page saw the post on, and we're happy to help. But I love that idea of doing a call after co-vesting next Wednesday. Do you want to do like the same time, or should we try earlier? Does anybody have an opinion?
7 p.m. would be great. We have a baby doc appointment in the very late afternoon.
Okay, so 7 p.m. next Wednesday on this channel.
I posted it in the Telegram on the boss page. Obviously, don't look at the first one, which says USI.
Okay, yeah. We'll copy that information and get it out to anybody who might want it. So yeah, that sounds awesome. We'll do another call Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central on this channel. And Anybody, if you think of any questions or anything that you want us to talk about, message us beforehand. And yeah, I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, and any of your friends, family that have interest or questions in cryptocurrency that you can't answer, you can invite them to this call next week, or even message us in the meantime. And we definitely want to create a community that helps each other. Some of the processes for certain accounts like ICOs or Coinbase or Hashflare, it's always good to have somebody that has experience walking you through the process so you don't make a mistake and have to take out a support ticket. And it's just better that way. So.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for showing up, and we'll see you next time, next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.